When we see mountains, we may be drawn to their beauty and strength, and we may also think of them as a place to retreat from the challenges of life in the valley below. Some people feel called to conquer the mountains, and they spend vast amounts of time and money to travel to far off places for the experience of climbing to the highest peak. Unfortunately, humans leave behind a trail of debris wherever we go. On Mount Everest alone, Sherpas employed by the Nepalese government bring down thousands of kilograms of waste every year. Everything from tents and oxygen tanks to food packaging, ropes, and piles of human excrement that is threatening the water supply. Some people seem to have a sense of entitlement that they can explore nature without considering the consequences of their actions. Better, I think, to enjoy nature respectfully and to remember that God calls us to work towards transformation. That is the message of reconciliation and also the message of environmental stewardship. The words from Isaiah that Malcolm read today are meant to bring hope to a people living in exile, where despair had become the prevailing sentiment. In those days, there was a high infant mortality rate, and to reach 50 years of age would be a great accomplishment, signaling a blessed life. But basically, you would just establish your home and plant your vineyard and not live long enough to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Isaiah puts forth a vision where people could live past 100 years of age, like a tree setting roots deep in the land of their ancestors. I can imagine centenarians sitting at the top of a hill, sipping wine and looking out over their vineyards and watching their great-grandchildren play hide and seek in the vines. With medical advancements, we are living much longer these days, but with the population explosion and resource disparities comes a whole new set of challenges. We still need to set our eyes on God's vision for a new Jerusalem, while not losing focus on the damages we are causing today. During this week, we are called to pay special attention to truth and reconciliation. And we acknowledge that First Nations peoples have much to teach us about being good stewards of the land. The Assembly of First Nations describes honoring the earth in this way. From the realms of the human world, the sky dwellers, the water beings, forest creatures, and all other forms of life, the beautiful Mother Earth gives birth to, nurtures and sustains all life. She bestows us with materials for our homes, clothes, and tools. She provides all life with raw materials for our industry, ingenuity, and progress. She is the basis of who we are as real human beings that include our languages, our cultures, our knowledge and wisdom to know how to conduct ourselves in a good way. If we listen from the place of connection to the spirit that lives in all things, Mother Earth teaches what we need to know to take care of her and all her children. All are provided by our mother, the earth. Sadly, there is evidence all around us that we have forgotten the wisdom of our ancestors. Our consumer society demands that we continually upgrade to the latest technology. Fast fashion and easy online purchasing means that we can buy new clothes every season and very few people know how to make their own clothes anymore. Landfills and oceans are overflowing with used electronic gadgets, tires, plastic items, and discarded clothing. The earth and waterways are groaning with the weight of our insatiable demand for stuff. And pollution is causing climate change at an alarming rate. It is imperative that we work with the Indigenous peoples to address the environmental crisis. Indigenous-led conversations about climate change can allow for improved insights into how we can save and protect the nature we have left. There's an organization called Land Needs Guardians, which helps Indigenous nations honor their cultural responsibility to care for lands and waters. They describe themselves as the moccasins and muclucs on the ground for their communities. They manage protected areas, restore animals and plants, test water quality, and monitor development projects. Their work is guided by science, both Indigenous and Western. In the Q&A section of their website, there is a page on how to be an ally. Part of what they suggest is bring a good heart and a desire to learn. The history of colonialism weighs heavily on this country, but supporting Indigenous leadership, stewardship, and self-determination is a step towards reconciliation. It will take collaboration amongst all nations to work towards the healing of the world. We can look to the mountains for strength and as a sign of God's everlasting love and desire for us to live in harmony with all creation. We can go to a higher place, physically or spiritually, to enjoy the beauty of the earth and all creatures who inhabit it. But those moments of awe and joy cannot last forever. They are memorable because they stand out from our daily routine. René Dumas was a spiritualist, writer, and poet who lived in France in the early 1900s. He is quoted as saying, "You cannot stay on the summit forever. You have to come down again. So why bother in the first place? Just this, what is above knows what is below, but what is below does not know what is above. One climbs, one sees, one descends, and one no longer sees, but one has seen." We need that vision of a new heaven and a new earth to aspire to. But we also need to climb down to make it happen, one loving action at a time. So what will you do this week to prioritize caring for God's creation? In 1991, New Zealand hymn writer Shirley Arena Murray wrote this hymn, which I think will be familiar to you. Touch the earth lightly, use the word earth gently, nourish the life of the world in our care. Gift of great wonder, ours to surrender. Trust for the children tomorrow will bear. May it be so for us. Amen.